When working with files inside of HDR, a lot of the times what you're doing is you're taking that big image, right? So you're going to go over here, you go to Automate, you go to Merge to HDR Pro. We'll go back to that folder, browse, and now let's say that I'm going to go to my University of Tampa. Right, that's number 2. What I'll do is I'll grab this and I'll click on Open. I want to take these images and I want to be able to align them, and I'm going to click OK. This can take a little bit of time depending on what it is that you're doing, right? So if you have 9 images or 5 images or 7 images, all of that stuff can take a little bit of time. Now, when you're doing this, you want to be able to maximize as much time as you can. So sometimes you don't want to go through this entire process only to then go, well, you know what? I got to go do it again. You got to merge it over. So remember that your HDR file is this 32-bit image that you have right here. You have the option to save that file and then work with this a little bit later. So what I would do in this instance is I would use my ghosting algorithm, get everything exactly the way that you would want, and then from here, leave this as a 32-bit file and click on OK. This is going to create that super image, that big HDR file. From there, what you want to do is you want to take that file and you save that file as a specific type. That way, you don't have to go through this process over and over and over again. So it's almost done here. There's your file. Notice it's 32 bits. At that point, I would just go to File, Save As, and you could either save this as a Photoshop file if you want, right? So I'll just go ahead and UT shot, or you can go ahead and save this as a Radiance file. A Radiance file has an extension of .hdr. I like to save a lot of my stuff as Radiance files because then I can use them in different pieces of software. Right, so I'm going to click on Save, and now I'm done. So if I were to use this for a different program, let's just say, for example, I decide that I want to use Photomatix for this. Right? I could always just grab this HDR file and now drag it right into Photomatix, and it doesn't have to do any of the merging. Everything's all done. All I have to do is just go to your tone map and just do your tone mapping from there. So that's a benefit to that. Now, the other benefit to that is that you could always just go and take it right back into Photoshop. You just open that file right in Photoshop. Oh, let's go ahead and close it, just so that I could show you that it did open in Photoshop. You'll grab the file, drag the file right back into Photoshop, and it's done. At this point, if you want to do any kind of work to it, really the only thing you'd have to do is just go to Image, and under Image, you go to Mode, go to 16 bits per channel. So you're taking it from 32 to 16. Exactly the same way of what you would do inside of the HDR Pro section. The moment that you do that, you're automatically brought to this HDR toning thing. This keeps all of the same presets that you had before. So for example, if I wanted to try Bodhi, I could, it may not work. Or if I wanted to try Scott 5, it could work. Or if you wanted to try a new preset inside of Photoshop, RC5, or City Twilight. Right? 9 of these work. And now, this is my preset that they've included in CS6, and so is City Twilight. Scott 5's was designed by Scott Kelby. Does that necessarily mean that these presets are the presets that are going to work in every image? Absolutely not. Of course, this is something that you're going to need to play with and kind of experiment with. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but they give you a good start on how to work with these things. Now, when you can go ahead and just continue to play around with this and you go, all right, well, this is kind of what I was looking for here. This looks pretty good. And then you can go ahead and you can save. But the benefit of all of this stuff is that you have this all now inside of one file rather than keeping 5, 7, or 9 files.